greetings again, and will our Middle-earth friends have victory or meet a terrible end? Actually, it's the Return of the King that will probably tell more about that, but I'm going to focus on the Two Towers for now, for this is the next part in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, for the Two Towers, it's written in a particular way. It's 3 bits. It's written in 3 parts. One part is about the adventures of Merry and Pippin. One part is about the adventures of Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Rohan. And the third part is about Frodo, Sam and Gollum and their adventures. Now, that's basically the books. And so much in there, so much which isn't said in the films. I mean, like, it's just epic. It's just so epic. I mean, and okay, the book. I'm not going to say much about the book because I want you to read it. I want you to read the book because it's so brilliant. The films. Now, everyone knows the Peter Jackson films, and they're considered successes, and why shouldn't they? They're awesome. I mean, and there are many aspects I really enjoyed. They've made casting choice I really thought was great. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. That was a superb piece of casting. I mean, it was just fantastic. I mean, he was just Gandalf. He's Gandalf. You can't think of someone else other than him as Gandalf. Well, except maybe Michael Hordern in that radio adaptation. But other than that, Ian McKellen is Gandalf. No questions. And although there was one bit when it looked as though he was flashing at Theoden. He didn't, but it almost looked like he did. That would have been disturbing, wouldn't it?
Yes, Saruman, feel the wrath of my wizard Willie.
Gollum was another character who I thought was portrayed superbly in the Jackson films, because it's like they just took him to a whole new level. I mean, Andy Serkis, the guy who played him, they stuck him in a suit, and I think they had dots, around his face and things like that. So it's like motion capture, sort of motion capture. And then they had an animated creature there, and it looked so real. It was so fantastic. It wasn't like the kind of thing you sit there going, "Oh, that's CGI." It's so real. I mean, can you imagine him? And also the split personality thing. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the way they showed the dark side and the good side. Sounds like a Star Wars character. But anyway, it's brilliant. I mean, I just loved it. I mean, can you imagine him at a shopping centre? What would the scenario be like?
Let's start Primark, my precious. There, it is Primark, my precious Primark. It is Brand's Primark, my precious. No, P-R-I, Primark, not Primark. Oh, shut up. You shut up.
And of course, Christopher Lee as Saruman. That is superb. That is superb casting because he's great villains. He's Dracula, he's Frankenstein, he's the Mummy, he's that bad guy from the Three Musketeers whose name I can't remember. But also like Count Dooku in the prequels of Star Wars. But Saruman, that's fantastic casting. The best Saruman I've ever seen. Mind you, he's not the kind of person you want to sing lullabies to your kids, is he?
Rock my baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock.
Now, everyone knows about the Jackson films, and they're great successes. But little do people know that in the 1970s, Ralph Bakshi actually made his version of Lord of the Rings. And it was interesting. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, many people either liked it or hated it. I personally quite liked it. I thought it followed the book pretty well. I mean, and it was done in a particular way. Like, it was an animated film, but it was done different. Like, they had live actors, but they sort of... This is the best way to describe it. Imagine I was doing this. Now this looks like I'm just splashing my hand on the screen, but Ralph Bakshi paint over that and maybe add things so it looked like then I'd be shooting thunderbolts or something like that. That's kind of how it works. Sort of like an early motion caption. Now in the Bakshi version there were some elements which worked and some elements which didn't, and some elements which are close to the book, like the character of Frodo. I actually thought he was much closer to the book in the Bakshi version than the Jackson one. This is why. In the Jackson version, Frodo, he's quite vulnerable, and he's a nice personality, but he just seems a bit too vulnerable, as if, like, you know, someone has to go around and save him, you know, all the time. I mean, it's like, oh, there's a spider, Sam, there's a troll, Aragorn, like that. I mean, it's like, grab some balls to find the effort yourself. I mean, it's like, 'cause in the book, he seems more tougher and wiser. I mean, I'd like to have seen a bit more of that in Frodo. I mean, okay, he doesn't have to be a Rocky Balboa Baggins, I mean, but just be a bit more tougher. Although, mind you, that would be quite fun, actually, a Rocky Balboa Baggins.
And in the blue corner, measuring up to the height of a human waist, it is the undisputed Hobbit champion and ring bearer, Frodo Baggins!
But the Bashki version's a bit closer to that, because he actually does stand up for himself. He actually tries fending off the Nazgûls. Even though he fails, he tries. He stabs an orc in the foot. That's actually close to the book. He's actually more tougher and wiser than portrayed in the Jackson version. No discredit to Elijah Wood, though. He's a good actor, and it's not him. I mean, I'm sure. And he looked the part, and I'm sure it's just it was perhaps the director's intention. Maybe that's how he saw the character. Maybe. So for what he was directed and what he was written for him, he did a great job. But I just think I just not quite Frodo from what I've read from the book. That's all. He's still good acting though. Aragorn's tougher to distinguish because I think they both did an equally good job, Viggo Mortensen and the animated one. Boy, who was the animated one again?
God bless that man!
Yeah, and it's a tough one to decide. I suppose the Jackson one kind of conveyed more as the ranger character, whereas the Bashki one conveyed more as the kingy sort of character. That's a tough one. So if I had to distinguish between the two films, this is how I'd say. I'd say it's because I mean, okay, let's be honest, the Jackson one's the more epic one, no question about it. But in terms of being close to the book, I'd have to say it's a tie. This is why. I've just written poetry. It's a tie. This is why. This is a tie. Because it's like I'll shut up now. But anyway, because in the Jackson one mentions more in the book than the Bashki version does. Yet on the other hand, from the things they both mentioned, the Bashki one seems to be more close to the book than the Jackson one. So, just being close to the book, that's a tie. And there you have it. That's my Two Towers review. Now the quest must linger on as I finish the book Return of the King. And then I shall tell you the trilogy's ending. I should really get a life and stop trying.